Hello and welcome to a special episode of Analog Insights. This is Greg, my name is Max, and today we have 4 different cameras in front of us. A Polaroid I-2, the Pentax 17, the new Rollei 35AF and the old Rollei 35. And of course we want to talk shop and look at all the new kits on the blog. Greg, you recently had a chance to take the Pentax 17 with you to New York, and it was also requested by the community. What is your opinion about it? And you also got the chance to test the Rollei 35AF, and of course we're super curious to hear what you think. But before we go there, briefly, I also wanted to include the Polaroid I-2 as one of the new kits on the blog because it was only released in September 2023 and just received a firmware update and also new film stock, and just the first tests already show a great improvement when it comes to the exposure. In the past it was a little bit of a problem to have too much highlights and overexposure, and you can also see that they are really working hard on the film quality. But moving on to the Pentax 17, Greg. What are your thoughts after all the video, the 38 minutes that we did? What do you think?
Yeah, that's you can imagine it was very difficult for me to judge this camera because I have such a huge collection of Pentax cameras, and I'm using Pentax cameras we just talked this morning about for more than 40 years now. And I never would sell any of my Pentax cameras. And the funny thing was, when I had this camera first in my hands and was sitting together with the family, my 21-year-old daughter came, saw this camera and was immediately so excited that she said, "Oh, is that cute, and may I have it?" And when I took it with me to New York, when I was there with the family, most of the time she was using this camera. And after taking her first shot, she came to me and said, "This camera isn't working anymore. I did one shot and now it doesn't expose any longer." And I said, "Oh, did you wind the film?" "Oh, I need to wind the film." So she's, with her 21 years, she grew up in the digital age.
Of course.
And instead of my older children who are 30 years old now, who know analog and who know that you have to wind the film. She didn't know that, but after she knew, she was really excited of using this camera, and me too. So I took the camera very often because it's lightweight, it's spontaneous, and I think Pentax did the right job because they focused on a special kind of consumer. And they did really well, and the camera is excellently manufactured. It's solid, although it's quite lightweight, and all in all, it's a camera that you like to use when you're walking in the streets. And finally, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't buy it for myself, but I would buy it for my daughter. and the reason is, I would not buy it because, in my opinion, this camera isn't good. I wouldn't buy it because I have so many Pentax cameras, also from the compact Pentax era, so I cannot use it. But it's very nice shooting 72 frames in that high quality that the camera provides.
I love that because it really shows, okay, it's not catered to your needs, and you already have a big Pentax collection, but it's really catered to a younger audience, like we also said in our review, and that it spontaneously drew her to the camera, and that she also just used it so much. It's just fantastic. It kind of shows, okay, it's a match in terms of audience and how it is tailored.
And I'm really curious what will come next from Pentax.
Yeah, same here. And we also talked about this morning, kind of which are the possible directions. There's another Pentax MX. And being very curious to see in which direction Pentax will be moving. Moving on, if that's okay, we also have here the Rollei 35AF, super hyped, and an original Rollei, which we had reviewed in the past. As a Rollei user and a photographer who used this one quite a bit, this is also significantly smaller if you look at it here, by the way. What are your thoughts on the Rollei 35AF?
Okay, finally they did a proper job. The camera is interesting. It provides some interesting features like the autofocus. The lens is completely new, and the images it provides are from a very good quality. But when you come from the old Rollei 35, you see a difference in the quality of making. And honestly, I would prefer to continue with my old Rollei 35 instead of using the new Rollei 35AF. It's not a bad camera, but honestly, it's not a camera for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And we also noticed some downsides, some very obvious ones, like, okay, for instance, the Pentax 17 does come with a 40.5mm filter thread. This one here doesn't have a filter thread at all. You could observe me earlier on, how I got acquainted with the camera, and it really took me a moment to understand which controls are and how it works. I also personally find the autofocus relatively noisy.
That's right.
It's not quiet.
The autofocus is noisy. What negative, in my opinion, is that the instructions for use are very poor. So you have a booklet that comes with the camera, and there's a QR code that guides you to the website. And even on the website, there's no further information, for example, how to change the battery or how to use the manual mode for the exposure time and so on. So you have to find out yourself how this works. And this is something I don't like, because I'm a person who first reads the instructions for use, and then I test the camera, and especially if it's something new. The camera is new, although the look is copied from the original Rollei 35. There's a need that you know how to use it, and so the instructions are too poor. And in relation to the price of 883 to 912 euros, relying if you're the chrome or the black version, I would expect more.
Yeah. And now, looking at all these cameras that we have here on the table, I would like to highlight that price topic again, because I feel these are completely different approaches. You have the Polaroid, which was completely developed from scratch and really tried hard to have something that is app connected, that is for a younger generation, that comes with an autofocus and so on. Then we have the Pentax, again completely newly developed, again tailored at a different generation, but without an autofocus. So you really need to understand or guess what's the distance, but you have all these perfect exposure modes that make it, in my opinion, very simple to get good exposure. And then we have this here, which feels kind of not sure who the audience is, right? Because asking almost 900 euros for a camera is quite a commitment, always was.
Always was, yeah. And that's the targeted audience is not the younger generation. So the kids starting from age of 16, for example, who are interested in analog photography. A price tag of 900 euros is too high. And if you target it to my generation, for example, who comes from analog photography, who perhaps had a Rollei 35, and a lot of people sold their analog cameras, and now they realize, it would be nice to have an analog camera again. And when they spend 900 euros, they expect more. For example, the filter thread, for example, the viewfinder, and so on and so on. Yeah.
All right, so a quick glance at the new kids on the block and our assessment. My personal assessment is, for my money, I would go in either this direction or that direction, to be honest. I dearly missed the Pentax when you had it and kind of try to find a different half-frame camera that I can use, and use the Canon Demi quite a lot in recent weeks. And this year, I am really drawn to exploring the new update, the firmware update, and the new film stock. I feel like, okay, Polaroid heard the community and tried hard to make a change. And I'm honestly not so sure about this one. I didn't get a chance to really try it, but as you said, the major hurdle for me would be the price. Do you have a preference of all these here? Or not really, because your collection is kind of covering all the bases here.
You know me long enough, and my decision would always be the Pentax, as long as no Leica on the table. Yeah.
Okay, that's a perfect final sentence. I hope you enjoyed this in-between episode of Analog Insights and our look at all the new kits on the block. And as I've mentioned in the review of this one here, when we started this channel, I would have never thought we would sit here with new cameras and have to discuss them. So this is a positive development, but there's still room for improvement. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please remember to like it and maybe even share it with your friends. And if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to our channel. Jules, Greg and I really appreciate each and every subscriber coming our way. So thanks for watching. I hope to see you soon. Bye.